What's going on, guys? This is Brian from Advancement Hockey Advising, and today we'll be talking about the best showcases to get seen by NCAA hockey coaches. Now, before we dive into the video here, as always, just a quick reminder to smash that like button, to hit that subscribe button, to hit that notification bell, and to share the video if you like the content. And as always, too, if you want to reach out to us about anything, feel free to comment down below or email us at info@ahadvising.com, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. And last quick thing, like in every video, there's going to be timestamps throughout the entire video. So if you want to go check out a specific section, you can go and click on that. Or if you want to just watch the entire video too, you can do whatever you want. It's completely up to you. All right, so why are we making this particular video here? Well, if your goal is to go play NCAA hockey, I think it's very important to get seen by NCAA coaches, right? I think it's probably one of the most important, if not the most important thing. So it's really important to get your name out there on their radars. So naturally, as many of you know, going to hockey showcases is one of the best ways to get coaches to actually see you and to, get your name on their radar so they can follow you throughout the year, throughout your regular season. But I want you to know this though, and this is why we're actually making this video, is that not all showcases and camps are created equal. A lot of them are a huge waste of time and a huge waste of money, and you don't really get seen by coaches as advertised. So it's really important to go to high quality camps where you actually get seen and you use your time and money wisely. So the whole point of this video here, the goal of it, is to give you some specific guidelines that you can use to determine if the showcase is actually of high quality and if it's actually worth going to. And also on top of that, our goal is to give you, just a few showcases that we've been to in the past that we really enjoyed, that we thought were high quality, share those with you too, so you can, potentially go to those or go to others that, fit those criteria that we're about to give you here. All right, so just a couple quick disclaimers here. First, I want you guys to know that we are not sponsored at all by any of these showcases, right? We don't get any kickback, any money for you signing up with them. This is just our complete, honest, and unbiased opinion because we want you to go to the showcases that are actually going to help you get seen by NCAA coaches. And also, just a quick note, we have 4 showcases on our list here that we're going to share with you in a little bit, but by no means is our list exhaustive. I'm sure there's, a few, if not several, really good showcases out there that are really good to promote you for NCAA hockey, but just that we haven't attended yet because, there's only so many showcases that you can go to as a person, as an advisor. So there's some that we probably haven't seen yet, and that's totally fine. As long as they fit the criteria that we're about to give you, that's why we're giving you the broad set of criteria to follow, the broad guidelines. So that way you can, if the showcase isn't on this list, you can ask yourself these questions to see if that showcase is actually of high quality or not. So on that note, if you've been to a great NCAA showcase that we haven't mentioned on this list here, feel free to comment down below and let us know. We'd love to know. We love to keep learning and getting better at what we do every day. So if there's one that we haven't mentioned, feel free to let us know. We'd love to hear from you. All right, so let's dive into the guidelines here. And guideline number 1 is that you must have a showcase where there's a lot of NCAA coaches present. Now, this one seems obvious. It seems silly to even mention this, but you'd be surprised at the amount of NCAA showcases that are marketed. And then you go there and there's 1, maybe 2 NCAA coaches. They're barely there. They might do a quick talk. They might not watch any games, and that's it. They market themselves as NCAA showcases. Or even worse, there's some showcases that don't have any, even if they advertise it. It seems silly, but just do your research. See the past years, what coaches were there. Go on the website, ask around, ask a friend, ask advisors, ask coaches what they think about that showcase, and they'll tell you if it's legit or not, if NCAA coaches actually show up. So, this is the biggest one. It's really important that they're there so you actually get seen by NCAA coaches. Criteria number 2 here that, showcases should have is that they should have a reasonable size, or in other words, they shouldn't be too big. Sometimes you see these big tournaments, these big showcases, I won't name any. Some, there's over 1,000 players there. And if you have so many players there, even if you're a great hockey player, it just makes it that much harder for you to stand out. You want to go to showcases where there's a lot of coaches present and where there might be, 50, 60 players present. That way, if you really stand out, if you play well, coaches will notice you at that point. But if there's too big of a showcase, if there's too many players, it really diminishes your chance. So I would say stick to the showcases that are on the smaller end. Guideline number 3 here that you want to look out for is that you have lots of ice time, or in other words, a lot of opportunity for you to actually get on the ice and play. So what this looks like is like, minimum 3 games, 3 games of an hour and a half preferably, not too many players on the bench, right? You're not like 5 lines rolling on the bench where you only get 6 shifts in a game, right? You really want to get, a lot of shifts so coaches actually see you. So, you get in the zone, if you barely play, it's just not ideal because you don't show everything you got, and also coaches don't really see you. So I think it's really important that you get a lot of ice time. Pro tip for you guys out there, if any of these showcases have goalie sessions, which some of these that we're going to mention a little bit here actually do, 100% sign up for them. If you're a forward or a D, be a shooter, because all the coaches are typically on the ice for the goalie sessions because they want to see the goalies, play. They want to see the technicalities. But if you're a shooter there, all these coaches are watching you indirectly too. So, for myself, I really got noticed by quite a few coaches because of these goalie sessions. So if you get the opportunity, if they ask for volunteers, 100% do it, because you really get seen, and it just helps you, get more comfortable, and it'll help you, get warmed up and stuff for the actual games where the coaches are going to watch you too. So it's a really big pro tip. I would really encourage you guys to do that. And last but not least, the number 4 guideline to look at here, and I would say this one's also really important, is the history of NCAA advancement that the showcase has. Now, if they're a relatively new showcase, this probably won't be that high, which is totally fine, but if their showcase has been operating for, like, let's say 4, 5, 6 years, something like that, see if any players that have went to this showcase, if any have advanced to NCAA D1 or D3 hockey, depending on, what the showcase focuses on. If they can, claim some advancement, from players that went there, I would say that's a huge plus, because it shows that, okay, like, if I go here, coaches will actually see me, and there's a chance that I get committed. Now, keep in mind that the number of commitments might not be high, because, NCAA D1 commitments are quite rare, if you think about it. And NCAA D3 commitments aren't that easy to get either. So that might be something to take into consideration here. But as long as there's some, that's a good sign. I would really try and focus on the showcases that do have a good history of NCAA advancement. So now that you have the guidelines, let's move on to some specific examples here. The 4 best showcases that we've seen for hockey players to get seen by NCAA coaches. All right, so the number 1 showcase on our list here for NCAA exposure is the Apex Sports Camp in LaSalle, Quebec, which is actually like near Montreal. It's basically in Montreal, but it's kind of a little bit on the outskirts, but it's in that general vicinity. So this showcase typically runs in beginning to mid-May. It kind of varies year by year, but that's typically when it runs. Now, obviously, there's the pandemic and everything, so last year it got canceled. This year, who knows when it's going to be, right? It's hard to say, but that's typically when it runs. This showcase mainly focuses on NCAA D1 programs, NCAA D1 coaches to be there, but there are usually a few NCAA D3 coaches that are there every year, and usually they're the higher end NCAA D3 coaches. So if we're going to look at the last showcase that ran, not last year because it got canceled, but the year before, there were 12 NCAA D1 coaches present for the entire camp, and there were 3 NCAA D3 coaches that were there. Like I said before, if you want more info on this, there's a link down in the description below that you can click, and it'll give you access to exactly what coaches were there, when you can register this year, and all, more information if you want to keep digging. All right, so showcase number 2 on our list here is the College Hockey Combine in Carleton Place, Ontario. For those of you who aren't familiar with Carleton Place, it's basically on the outskirts of Ottawa. I would say probably, half an hour, maybe 45 minutes from Ottawa itself. It's a really small town, but it's actually home to one of the best teams in Canada at the junior A level, and that's the Carleton Place Canadians in the CCHL. So it's actually the owner of the Carleton Place Canadians that runs this program, and it's actually a very, very good showcase. It's all NCAA D1 focus. It's very NCAA D1 heavy, and there's a lot of coaches that present themselves there. In the previous showcase, not last year but the year before, there were 11 NCAA D1 coaches there, and pretty much they all ranged from Ivy League to high-end NCAA D1 to mid-end to low-end NCAA D1. So there's a whole big range of NCAA D1 coaches there, and that's huge, right? Because not every player is destined to go high end Boston College NCAA D1 hockey. So it's good that there's a nice variety. When I saw this showcase, I really liked it, and I'm a big proponent of it. It's a solid showcase, and bonus, you get exposure from Jason Clark, which is the owner of the Carleton Place Canadians in the CCHL. So I think altogether this is a solid showcase to go to. Typically, it'll run around mid-June to end of June. Last year, obviously, there was no showcase, but this year, they're still not sure yet, but, typically that's when it usually runs. And like the other showcase we mentioned before, if you want more info on this one, there's a link down in the description below that you can click, and you can go access all of that. And the third showcase on our list here is the Matterhorn Fit All Ivy Showcase in Florida. Now, I know that was a mouthful, but yeah, that's basically the whole name of it. Typically, before the pandemic, this showcase runs mid-July. This year, it's scheduled to be around mid-July, but who knows, right? It could be pushed back. It could be, it could be canceled. Who knows? I think it's going to run, but who knows? I like to be optimistic, but typically that's when it usually runs. As the name implies, this showcase is really, really heavy focus on D1 Ivy League schools. There are some regular, high-end D1 schools there too, but it's a very, very big focus on the Ivy Leagues. Not last year because it got canceled, but the year before, there was 5 Ivy League coaches that were present, and there was also 3 high-end, they were all very high-end NCAA D1 coaches that were present as well. So altogether, if your goal is to go play NCAA D1 Ivy League hockey, this is a great showcase to go to. There's a lot of programs that are going to see you there, a lot of eyes, and it's not that big of a showcase either, so that's a huge plus. But, that's one thing. Now, I understand that the location, isn't optimal for everyone. It is quite far for a lot of you, especially for Canadians that are watching this. But, if you really want to be seen by Ivy League coaches, this, I would say it might be worth the trip for you, depending on situations. And if you are close to this, I say this is a no-brainer. It's a great, great showcase to go to. If you want more info, the link's down in the description below. You can go click on it, and you can go access whatever, info that you want to see. All right, and number 4 on our list, last but not least here, is the Hamilton College Showcase, located in Clinton, New York, basically the showcase is at Hamilton College's campus. It's on the rink on campus. Typically, this showcase also runs mid-July. Now, with a pandemic, who knows, right, what's going to happen? But last year it got canceled. This year, it might run. We're not sure yet. But, mid-July is usually the time frame that we're looking at for this one. So unlike all the other showcases that we mentioned on this list, this one's more of a D3 focus. So it's really got a lot of NCAA D3 schools that are there watching you. But obviously, it's not only D3 focus. There's some NCAA D1 schools that are there as well watching. But it's mainly a D3 focus school. And that's great, honestly, because, a lot of these showcases, they really hype up the NCAA D1 level. But NCAA D1 is not for everyone. I would say, in fact, most hockey players do end up playing NCAA D3 hockey if they go the NCAA route. So I think it's so good that there is a good showcase out there that has a lot of NCAA D3 eyes on you. That way, if NCAA D3 really is your path, at least you get seen, and then they can kind of follow you for the rest of the season. So I'm a huge, huge fan of this showcase. So the coach list isn't publicly available on their website like the other ones are, but from the last few years, when I went there in the past years, typically there would be around 7 to 8 NCAA D3 coaches watching there. Typically all mid to high end NCAA D3 coaches, and usually about 2 to 3 to 4 NCAA D1 coaches depending on the year. But a lot of eyes watching you, and it's quite the small camp, not that many players there, and you get a lot of ice time. No more than 3 lines and 5D. They really do a good job at keeping it small, and that coaches can actually see you play. Really, really big fan of this showcase. Now, if you want more info, there is a link down in the description below. I will be honest with you though, there really isn't that much information on there right now because of the whole pandemic situation. But once that dies down, the brochure and the link should be accessible to you, and you should be able to see more information, and all that kind of stuff to sign up and all that stuff. So, once that's accessible, you can go and check that out and you'll be able to get more info. All right, so I know there was a lot of info here. Hopefully some of it was valuable to you and that you learned something here today. But just so you retain the take-home messages, we're going to do a quick recap here. So the absolute take-home message that I want you to remember first and foremost is that not all showcases are created equal, and you really have to use the set of guidelines that we provided you to really discern which ones are worth going to and which ones are worth not going to and avoiding altogether. All right, so that being said, here are the 4 guidelines that we mentioned. First off, make sure that there actually are a lot of NCAA coaches present. Make sure that it's a reasonable size, aka not too many hockey players there. Make sure that you get a lot of ice time, and also make sure that there is some sort of a history of NCAA advancement from that showcase. And as for the 4 best showcases that we think, in our opinion, that we mentioned, that is the Apex Sports Camp, the College Hockey Combine, the Matterhorn Fit All Ivy Showcase, and Hamilton College Showcase. All right, that is it for the video. I hope you got some sort of value out of this. If you did, feel free real quick to smash that like button if you haven't already. Hit that subscribe button, hit that notification bell, and share the video. Like we said before, if you want to reach out to us about anything, feel free to drop a comment down below or to email us at info@ahadvising.com, and we'll get back to you as soon as we can. Also, if you want to check out our other platforms, there's a link down below where you can check out all the different stuff that we're up to on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever platform. You can see all that stuff by clicking the link below. And that's it, guys. Thanks so much for watching. We hope you enjoyed the video, and we'll catch you on that next one.